We need to talk, Laura said one Thursday evening, her tone calm, too calm. She set her wine glass down with a clink that might as well have been a gunshot in my ears. My heart dropped. There's something men know in their bones. When their wife says, we need to talk, it's rarely about redecorating the guest bathroom. I set down the remote. The glow of the muted TV reflected in her wine, catching fire in the liquid. She sat opposite me on the couch, cross-legged, in yoga pants and a loose tee she'd worn since college, something that once turned me on without even trying. But tonight, she felt like a stranger. I've been thinking about our marriage, she said, her words careful, as though scripted. And I think it's time we try something new. I furrowed my brows. New how? She sipped her wine, paused, then looked me dead in the eye. I want an open marriage. Silence. It wasn't even the silence of confusion. It was the kind that only follows a bomb detonating in your home. What? I finally managed, laughing nervously. Are you serious? Her lips curled up, not in amusement, but in that smug, condescending smirk she used when she'd already decided how this conversation would go. I mean, come on, Jake. We've been together 10 years. Things are comfortable. She said it like it was a bad word. So you want to fuck other people? I wasn't going to sugarcoat it. Her eyes flashed. It's not just about sex. It's about freedom, exploration. We're still young. You're 37. So? I'm not dead. I stared at her, stunned. My heart was pounding, my throat dry. And I don't get a say in this. She shrugged. You do. That's why I'm bringing it up instead of sneaking around behind your back. Oh, so I should thank you for the respect. I spat. Jesus, Jake. Don't be dramatic. But then she laughed. Actually laughed. And what she said next cut deeper than anything else. I mean, it's not like you'd get any play anyway. Let's be real. You're sweet, but you're not exactly in demand. The way she said it, dismissive, with that fake chuckle, like I was some sad, sexless sitcom husband who should be grateful anyone still touched him at all, it did something to me. It killed something. I stood up. Not because I had somewhere to go, just because I couldn't sit across from her any longer. I'll sleep in the guest room, I muttered. She didn't try to stop me. That night, lying on the stiff twin bed we used for guests, I stared at the ceiling, replaying everything. It wasn't that she wanted sex with other men. That part hurt. God, it hurt. But what truly gutted me was how little she thought of me. How she laughed, like I was no threat, no temptation. Like I was some neutered pet she could keep at home while she played. I wasn't a jealous man. I never had been. But this wasn't jealousy. This was something deeper. Humiliation. Powerlessness. Anger. And beneath it, a flicker. A dangerous, thrilling flicker. If she thought I was some invisible husband who'd be too pathetic to find someone else, well, maybe she didn't know me at all anymore. Maybe I didn't know myself either. But I would. Oh, I fucking would. The next few days, Laura went on like nothing had changed. She sent flirty texts at dinner, scrolled Instagram while humming, wore that perfume she only used when she was going out, the one that always used to make me want to bend her over the kitchen counter. But now I saw it for what it was, bait for someone else. I didn't ask where she went when she left that Saturday night in a low-cut dress and heels I hadn't seen in years. She gave me a peck on the cheek, like I was her roommate, her little brother, not her husband. When the door clicked shut, I sat on the edge of our bed, fists clenched. That was the moment the flicker became a flame. It wasn't just about sex. It was about respect. If she wanted an open marriage, maybe I'd show her just how open things could get. And maybe I'd show her that she wasn't the only one who could play the game. I didn't sleep much that night. Around 2 a.m., I heard her come in, heels clicking on the hardwood, the sound of her hushed laughter echoing like a gunshot in the quiet house. The door creaked. The bedroom opened. Then silence. She didn't come to the guest room. Didn't check on me. I imagined her stripping off her dress, makeup smudged, skin smelling like someone else's cologne. It twisted in my gut, but also it fueled me. Something in me cracked wide open. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to grovel. I was going to rise. And if she wanted freedom, I'd make her regret it. You never expect your life to shift in a coffee shop. But there I was, 3 days after my wife left the house looking like a walking sex fantasy for God knows who, trying to distract myself with work emails and a burnt cappuccino at a cafe downtown. It was one of those sleek, wooden glass places Laura always loved. Minimalist design, overpriced everything. I came to spite her. Petty, I know. but I was in that kind of mood. I sat in the corner, tapping at my laptop, half hoping I'd get lost in spreadsheets. I didn't. My mind kept drifting back to Laura's mocking voice. "You're sweet, but you're not exactly in demand." That phrase had carved itself into the back of my brain. Every man knows the weight of being overlooked. But hearing it from the woman who once begged you for sex on the floor of your first apartment, that cuts different. I was just about to close the laptop and leave when a blur of motion and warmth collided into me. Hot coffee sloshed onto my jeans. Shit. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I looked up and the world actually paused. Olivia Hart. The Olivia Hart. CEO of Meridian Realty. Laura's boss. The woman who'd been on the cover of Forbes Women and once interviewed by Anderson fucking Cooper. Her hair was pulled back into a sleek bun, a silk blouse tucked into high-waisted slacks, sharp heels clicking on the floor. And she was now dabbing napkins against my crotch with zero hesitation. Jesus, let me get that. Shit, that's not appropriate. I'm sorry. She pulled her hands back with a half laugh, half cringe. You okay? Yeah. I stammered, grabbing the napkins. I'm okay. Just a little scalded dignity. Her laugh was quick, confident, and damn near intoxicating. Something about the way she stood, unapologetic, fully aware of her space, was magnetic. Dominance without arrogance. Like she didn't need permission to be exactly who she was. "You're Jake, right?" she asked suddenly. I blinked. Yeah. I thought so. She tilted her head. "You were at that corporate dinner last year, Laura's +1. The one where the shrimp was tragically undercooked." She remembered that? I barely remembered that. "You have a good memory," I said. "I remember faces. Especially ones that looked that bored." I laughed, caught off guard by the boldness of it. "Guilty. I get it," she said, finally setting her drink down on the table between us. That whole evening was a 3-hour ego contest with too many men trying to impress each other by quoting The Economist. I found myself smiling. Genuinely. She glanced down at my laptop. Working from here, or hiding from something? I paused. For a second, I considered lying. But something about her, the confidence, the calm, made me want to tell the truth. A little of both, I admitted. "I'm in the middle of figuring out some personal stuff." "Messy personal stuff?" she asked, eyes narrowing in curiosity. I gave a dry smile. "Let's just say my wife decided she wants to explore her options." Her expression didn't shift into pity. No fake sympathy. Just a slow nod. "She asked for an open marriage?" My eyes snapped to hers. "How did you?" "She's not the first. Won't be the last." Olivia sat down without asking, resting her elbow on the table and giving me a look that felt like being put under a microscope and found interesting. "And let me guess. She said something about freedom and being young and you not being able to keep up." My jaw clenched. She smiled. Predictable. We fell into silence for a moment. The noise of the cafe buzzed around us. Clinking mugs, indie acoustic covers of 90s songs, the hiss of the espresso machine. But none of it touched the small pocket of gravity forming between us. I cleared my throat. "You know Laura?" She gave me a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "She works under me. I don't know her." The phrasing wasn't accidental. "And what do you know about me?" I asked, surprising myself. She leaned back, studying me. "Only what I saw. Quiet guy. Observant. Didn't try to impress anyone. Didn't pretend to be interested in the fake networking crap everyone else was doing." You say that like it's a good thing. It is. For me. Again, that pause. Again, that smile. Something flickered in the air between us. Not overt, not crude, but charged. Like a coiled wire just starting to hum. She stood up, fixing her bag on her shoulder. "Well, Jake, try to avoid any third-degree burns. And maybe next time, I'll bring the coffee to your table." I opened my mouth. To say what? I don't even know, but she was already walking away. That walk, by the way, lethal, not exaggerated, not deliberate, just effortless. She knew how to command a room, even one as trivial as a coffee shop. I watched the door swing shut behind her. And for a full minute, I just sat there. Something had shifted. It wasn't about getting revenge anymore. It was about being seen. And Olivia? She had seen me. That night, I didn't ask Laura where she'd been. She came home with a smudge of lipstick that wasn't hers on the edge of her jaw, hair tousled from someone else's fingers. She gave me a look of fake cheer. I gave her nothing. Because for the first time in weeks, I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about Olivia Hart. and her promise of a next time. The irony of watching your wife get dolled up for another man while you eat reheated pasta in silence isn't lost on you. That's how my Saturday night started. Laura had been playing the liberated woman role with unsettling ease. She came and went as she pleased, perfume trailing behind her like a declaration of conquest. Every time she grabbed her purse, it felt less like she was going out and more like she was walking out. A slow, humiliating erosion. "Don't wait up," she said, looking into the mirror by the door as she adjusted an earring. "I might crash at Jenna's." Sure, because Jenna wore Tom Ford cologne and left bite marks that didn't line up with wine and charcuterie. I didn't respond. I didn't even look up. I just twirled the spaghetti in my bowl and thought about Olivia. She had been living in the corners of my mind since our encounter at the cafe. The memory of her confidence, the amused smirk, the way she said my name like it tasted good in her mouth. It stuck. I didn't know what the hell was happening between us, but I wanted to find out. And fate, apparently, was in a generous mood. 3 days later, I ran into Olivia again. This time in the most surreal of places, the parking garage beneath her company's building. I was downtown for a meeting with a supplier. As I was unlocking my car, I heard heels clicking behind me. "Jake?" I turned. Olivia stood there, crisp in a navy blue pantsuit, a leather tote slung over her shoulder. Her hair was loose this time, falling in waves, and the look in her eyes said she already knew this coincidence wasn't really a coincidence. "I was hoping I'd run into you," she said, voice low and smooth. I raised an eyebrow. "In a parking garage?" She grinned. "Well, you're less likely to spill hot coffee down your lap this way." I laughed, and just like before, the air between us shifted, light flirting quickly giving way to something deeper. She took a step closer. "I'm going to be blunt," she said, tone switching into that CEO precision. "There's a charity gala this Friday. Meridian is sponsoring it. I usually bring someone presentable." I chuckled. "Wow, that's flattering. You clean up well." "That's what I meant." Her lips curled. "Come with me." "To make your assistant jealous?" "To make my board nervous," she replied, eyes sparkling. "And maybe to piss off a certain employee who won't stop talking about her amazing new dating life." My heart stuttered. "You know about." She cut me off with a nod. "Laura's not as discreet as she thinks. And yes, I do know she's been using the open marriage excuse like a free pass. It's pathetic." I swallowed hard. "Why me?" She tilted her head. "Because I think there's something in you that even you haven't figured out yet." That was the most terrifyingly attractive thing anyone had ever said to me. I opened my mouth to respond, but she pulled a sleek black envelope from her tote and slipped it into my hand. 7:30 p.m. Waldman Hotel. Black tie. Don't be late. Then she walked away without waiting for my answer. I should have said no. I should have thought about how this could all blow up. My wife, my dignity, the whole ridiculous situation. But instead, I stared at that envelope on my nightstand for the next 3 nights like it was a fuse just waiting for me to light it. By Friday, I had a haircut, a tailored suit, and a level of silent rage that had finally crystallized into something useful: confidence. When I stepped into the Waldman's ballroom that night, everything shifted. The chandeliers blazed above us, scattering gold across the marble floors. Guests sipped champagne and whispered names: donors, developers, influencers. I saw Olivia across the room almost immediately. She wore a black dress that looked like it had been stitched from moonlight and ambition. Her back was bare, her lips a wine-red weapon. She spotted me, smiled slowly, and walked over like she was claiming something already hers. "You made it," she said. I almost didn't, I confessed. I had to remind myself I wasn't the same man I was a week ago. "You're not," she said, brushing a piece of lint off my lapel. "You're better." For a while, we mingled, talked, even danced. She introduced me to people as Jake. No title, no explanation. Just that, like I was the secret everyone wanted to know, but no one had the right to ask about. And then, halfway through the night, the moment came. Laura. She walked in on the arm of some forgettable finance bro in a too shiny tux, her smile plastic, her body tensed like she was already looking for approval. Then she saw me. And Olivia. Together. Her face changed. A flicker of confusion. Then disbelief. Then panic. She walked straight over. "Jake." Olivia didn't flinch. She turned with a grin so sharp it could slice a throat. "Laura. Good to see you." Laura looked between us, her mouth parting slightly. "You're together? Tonight?" Olivia said, her hand resting casually on my arm. "Yes." Laura laughed. Seriously? I met her eyes. For the first time in months, I wasn't the quiet husband waiting for her to notice me. I was the man on Olivia Hart's arm. "I guess you were right," I said, smiling coldly. "I can do better." That night, when Olivia's car pulled up to the curb outside my place, I half expected her to drive off with a wink and a wave. Instead, she leaned over. "Next time," she said, voice low and thick with implication, "don't bring a suit." She smiled. "Bring yourself." Then she was gone, and I was left standing there, heart racing, knowing something seismic had just begun. Every mirror in Olivia's penthouse was strategically placed, not just for light, but power. That's something I noticed the moment I stepped into her suite the night of the gala. The view from the 41st floor was stunning, city lights stretching endlessly like a sea of stars below. But inside it was her. Olivia wasn't just beautiful. She was the room. She stepped into view from behind a velvet divider wearing a black dress that could make gravity jealous. Strapless. Sculpted. It hugged every inch of her like it had been tailored by a sinful god. She didn't just wear the dress. She owned the moment. "Breathe, Jake," she said, smirking as she slipped on diamond earrings. "You look like you're about to confess your sins." I swallowed hard. "Only because you're dressed like temptation." Her laugh was low, rich. "Careful. You're getting better at this." Truth was, I had no idea who I was anymore. But I liked it. The gala wasn't just another corporate event. It was the event, Meridian's crown jewel fundraiser for urban revitalization. Everyone who was anyone in Laura's world would be there. And I was going to walk into that ballroom with Olivia Hart on my arm. It wasn't just revenge. It was justice. We arrived fashionably late. Of course we did. Olivia didn't do on time. The Waldman's main ballroom was packed, music thrumming low, glasses clinking, and the city's elite orbiting each other in expensive clothing and polished smiles. But when we walked in, the entire atmosphere shifted. Heads turned. Eyes widened. I felt the tension coil around me like heat from a fire. And I held Olivia's hand a little tighter. "You okay?" she whispered. "Better than okay," I said. Let them stare. We moved through the room like smoke. Olivia made casual conversation with senators and CEOs, never letting go of me, her fingers grazing my wrist when no one was watching. Each touch subtle, electric. She didn't flaunt me. She featured me. And I had never felt more wanted. But the real moment came 30 minutes in, when Laura arrived. I saw her before she saw us. Her dress was red, bold, like a warning flare. Her hair was perfectly curled, her makeup precise. She clung to the arm of some square-jawed executive I didn't recognize, smiling with tight politeness as they made their entrance. Then her eyes found us. It was instant. A complete derailment. Her smile cracked. Her eyes flicked from Olivia's hand on my arm to the way I was looking at Olivia. Not like I was desperate. Not like I was begging. But like I belonged. Her lips parted, searching for something. Words, excuses, maybe just oxygen. And Olivia? She thrived in the moment. "Well," she said just loud enough. "Looks like your wife spotted us." I turned to her. "Is this the part where I pretend to feel bad?" She laughed quietly, sipping champagne. "Not unless you want to ruin the night." Laura approached, her fake smile plastered back in place. "Jake." "Olivia," she said with a tight nod. "Didn't expect to see you here. Together." Olivia didn't miss a beat. "Why not? He makes an excellent date." Laura's eyes narrowed. "You're his boss." "Technically," Olivia shrugged. "But not tonight." There it was. The shift. The loss of control. Laura's face started to crack, the edges of her mask crumbling. And me? I'd never felt calmer. "Laura," I said, voice steady. "You look surprised." "Why would I be?" she said too quickly. "You said you were staying home tonight." "Change of plans," I replied. "You know how open things have become lately." That hit her. Hard. She didn't say anything for a long beat. Just stood there, jaw clenched, pretending not to care while her eyes betrayed every ounce of shock. Then she looked at Olivia, venom behind her smile. "Enjoy the game while it lasts." Olivia smiled back like a queen dismissing a peasant. "Oh, sweetheart, I never play games I don't intend to win." And just like that, Laura turned on her heel and walked away, her date trailing behind, confused and irrelevant. I exhaled. That moment, the crack in her confidence, it wasn't just satisfaction. It was liberation. For years, Laura had made me feel like the lucky one. But tonight, I watched her realize she lost me. And not to just anyone. To the one woman she could never compete with. Later, we stepped out onto the rooftop terrace to get some air. The city sparkled below, a million lights flickering like applause. Olivia leaned on the railing beside me, her dress catching the breeze, revealing just a glimpse of her thigh. "You handled that well," she said. I didn't say much. "Exactly." She looked at me, eyes softening. "So, tell me something, Jake. Anything." She tilted her head. "Do you want her back?" The question hung there. Heavy. Honest. I shook my head slowly. "No. I think I just wanted her to regret letting me go." "She does," Olivia said. "Trust me." "And you?" I asked, my voice quieter now. "What do you want?" She stepped closer, her lips just inches from mine. "I want you to stop thinking about her," she whispered. "I want you to stop proving something. And start choosing something." Her fingers brushed my jaw, her eyes locked on mine. "I want you to stop being his husband and start being your man." And then she kissed me. Soft at first, like a secret. Then deeper, hungrier. The kind of kiss that didn't ask for permission. The kind that told you everything had changed. When she finally pulled back, her breath warm against my cheek, she whispered, "Next time, you don't leave with me just to be seen. You leave with me because you want to." And in that moment, I knew. I already did. 3 days after the gala, Olivia texted me. "Thursday. My place. No tie. No mask. Just you." I stared at the message longer than I should have, heart beating faster than I wanted to admit. She wasn't being subtle. Olivia never was. I hadn't seen Laura since the gala. She'd stormed out that night with her forgettable date, but not before I saw the crack in her armor. That tight, cold fury that only came when someone used to having the power finally lost it. She hadn't said a word when she got home, just slammed the bedroom door and locked it like we were kids in a silent war. I didn't follow. I wasn't the same man who used to chase her anymore. Thursday came. I arrived at Olivia's penthouse just after 8 o'clock, my shirt open at the collar, no jacket. I'd shaved, styled my hair, even spritzed cologne I hadn't used in years. Not for her, not entirely. For me. The door opened before I even knocked. She stood barefoot, wearing a silk robe that clung to her frame like a whisper. Ivory white, loosely belted, and far more dangerous than anything tight or short. Her hair was down again, waves brushing her collarbone. "You came," she said, stepping aside to let me in. I wasn't going to. I didn't invite someone else. The tension sparked instantly, not rushed, not frantic. It wasn't a desperate collision of bodies. It was restraint, a quiet understanding that whatever was building deserved space to breathe before it exploded. Her penthouse was warm, dimly lit with low golden lamps and the faint sound of jazz playing in the background. She handed me a glass of wine without asking. I took it, following her to the massive floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. "You like the view?" she asked. I didn't look out the window. I do now. That earned a look, the kind where her lips curled and her eyes softened. It was both affection and hunger wrapped in one. But she didn't pounce. Instead, she sat on the couch, curling one leg beneath her, the robe shifting slightly, enough to reveal bare thigh and the suggestion of nothing beneath it. I sat beside her, keeping one hand around the stem of the glass, the other resting on my knee. "You think I'm just doing this for revenge?" I asked quietly. Her eyes met mine. "Are you?" I was. At first. And now? Now I swallowed. "I think I'm doing it to remember who the hell I am." She reached over, fingers brushing mine. "Then let me help you. We didn't have sex that night. Not because we didn't want to. The pull between us was heavy, magnetic. There were moments her knee grazed mine, and I nearly forgot where I was. Her robe slipping slightly as she shifted, revealing the curve of her hip. The scent of her skin, soft, like sandalwood, and something darker underneath, made my breath catch more than once. But Olivia wasn't rushing anything, and neither was I. We talked. And for the first time since Laura shattered my world, I felt seen. Olivia told me about her life. The pressure of being a woman in a world that only respected power if it came wrapped in a tailored suit and a perfectly curated smile. How she'd built everything from nothing. How lonely it was at the top. "I don't date," she said simply. "Not seriously. People either want to tame me or use me. Or worse, fear me." I looked at her. I don't fear you. Her smile turned softer. No, that's why I invited you. She curled closer, her shoulder brushing mine. There's something real about you, Jake, she said. You don't pretend. You're not trying to play a role. I admitted. For years, I played the safe husband, the predictable guy. I thought love was about stability, about showing up, doing the work, being good. And she still broke you, Olivia said gently. I nodded. Yeah. She turned toward me, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Let me be honest with you. I'm not looking to replace anyone. I don't want a project. I don't need a man to complete me. I'm not looking to be anyone's rebound. I know. She leaned in. The kiss was slow, exploratory. No performance. No fireworks for show. Just warmth. Soft lips. The heat of breath. The unspoken language of two people who'd both been underestimated for too long. She pulled back first. Just enough to whisper. Next time, you're staying. That night, I walked home alone, not because I was dismissed, but because she respected space as much as she respected desire. And oddly enough, I liked that more. I walked into the house and found Laura in the kitchen, dressed in sweats, hair tied up, barefoot, holding a mug of tea like a peace offering. She looked up, paused. You were out late. I nodded, heading straight to the fridge. Yeah. She hesitated. Can we talk? I turned. Now you want to talk? Maybe we rushed into this whole open marriage thing. I didn't think it'd be so hard. I waited. She licked her lips. Jake, I think we should. I don't know. Take a step back. Reconnect. Reconnect. I asked, a bitter laugh slipping out. After you laughed in my face and ran off to fuck strangers? Her face flushed. It wasn't like that. No, I said, stepping closer. You said I wasn't in demand. You mocked me, Laura. You broke something. And now you're uncomfortable because I'm not chasing you anymore. She didn't answer. I leaned in. Here's a fun fact. Your boss, Olivia, she doesn't see me as less. She doesn't need to humiliate me to feel powerful. Laura's eyes widened. You're sleeping with her? I smiled. I haven't even touched her yet. And somehow, I already feel more seen by her than I did with you for the last 3 years. She stood there, stunned. I left her in the kitchen. And for once, I didn't feel like the one left behind. Laura stopped going out on Fridays. No more short dresses. No more mysterious girls' nights that smelled like sex and guilt. The perfume bottles that once lined her vanity like weapons of war were suddenly untouched. At first, I thought she was regrouping, retooling her game. But then the signs started stacking up. She lingered longer in the kitchen when I came home. Tried small talk. Started doing things she hadn't bothered with in years. Folding my laundry, cooking dinner, even leaving the TV on my favorite channel. And I just watched. Quiet. Unmoved. Because by then, I was spending most nights with Olivia. It wasn't sex. Not yet. But the tension was always there, thick enough to taste. Some nights I'd stop by her penthouse just to share a drink and decompress. Both of us curled up on that leather sofa with city lights painting gold into her skin. She'd talk about boardroom wars, toxic shareholders, and the constant expectation to be perfect while pretending she wasn't lonely. And I'd tell her the truth about what it felt like to be invisible in your own marriage. Olivia didn't just listen. She understood. She didn't flinch when I said I hated Laura. She didn't try to fix me when I confessed I still dreamed about her sometimes. Nightmares, not fantasies. She didn't even blink when I told her the baby talk had been a lie, just a ploy to keep me rooted. I think she wanted a baby the same way she wanted a backup, I said once. Olivia only replied, she didn't deserve you at all. That night, we finally kissed like we meant it. Her hand tangled in my hair, my fingers at her waist, pulling her closer. Her mouth was warm, insistent, and when she pushed me back onto the couch and straddled me, the only sound in the room was her breath against mine. But we didn't go further, because when Olivia kissed, it wasn't about seduction. It was about choice. Back home, Laura was unraveling. It started with her pretending everything was normal, leaving a new bottle of whiskey in the cabinet, wearing my favorite t-shirt around the house, sitting a little too close on the couch during a show she never used to watch. Then the question started. Where are you going? Is that a new shirt? You've been smiling lately. Who is she? I didn't answer, because I didn't know her anything. One morning, she snapped. I came downstairs to grab a protein bar and found her sitting at the table, arms folded, wearing that fake calm that always came before her storms. I saw Olivia's car drop you off last night, she said. I looked her dead in the eye. So, she's my boss. No, I said, stepping closer. She's your superior. She's a woman who sees value in me that you never did. Laura stood up fast. You don't know her. You think you're special? You're a toy. A game. I laughed. That's rich coming from you. Her face twisted. So you admit it? You're screwing her? I leaned in, voice cold. I haven't touched her yet, Laura. But when I do, it'll mean something. Not like you. Fucking your way through Tinder just to feel alive. The silence after that was nuclear. She said nothing. I grabbed my keys and left. Olivia and I finally slept together the night the storm rolled in. Literally. Thunder shook the windows of her penthouse. Rain slashed against the glass like it was trying to peel the city open. We had just finished a quiet dinner. No grand plan. No declaration. Just need. Her fingers found the buttons of my shirt like she'd been counting down every second until she had permission. I didn't ask. I didn't hesitate. It was more than sex. It was vindication. It was years of being overlooked, mocked, dismissed, melting away under the weight of a woman who wanted me, respected me, craved me. She pulled me into her bedroom and whispered things that didn't sound like conquest. They sounded like choice. And when we were done, lying in the aftermath, our bodies tangled beneath silk sheets, Olivia turned toward me and said, "She's losing you. And she knows it." Back at home, Laura stopped trying to play it cool. She stayed home most nights, scrolling her phone silently, clearly waiting for something to shatter. One morning, I found her crying in the laundry room, silent, hunched over, gripping one of my hoodies like it had betrayed her. And for the first time in months, I felt nothing. Not pity, not rage, just emptiness. I was already gone. The funny thing about power, it changes hands without anyone announcing it. Laura had all the freedom she begged for, and now she was a prisoner in her own game. Her dates had vanished. Her confidence had cracked. Her bedroom light no longer stayed on past midnight. And me? I was waking up to texts from Olivia. Thinking of you. Wear that gray shirt I like tonight. I want you. Every word was a thread stitching together a version of me I thought Laura had destroyed. But Olivia didn't just want that version. She helped create him. One night, Olivia and I sat on her rooftop garden, watching the city bleed into darkness. She wore one of my shirts and nothing else, legs tucked beneath her, wine glass balanced on her knee. I want you to know something, she said suddenly. I don't do this. I don't bring people into my world. I looked at her. Why me? She stared out at the skyline for a long time. Because you're more dangerous than you know. Not the angry kind. The real kind. You see things clearly. You listen. You feel deeply, even when it hurts. And once someone sees that in you, they either run away or try to own it. I set down my glass. What are you doing? She turned to me. I'm holding space for it. Back home, Laura tried one last move. A photo on the fridge. Us, from 3 years ago. Smiling in a cabin, wrapped in blankets. She taped a note next to it. We were happy once. Can we find that again? I looked at it, really looked, and realized something terrifyingly simple. I hadn't been happy in that photo. I had been performing. I pulled the photo down and left it face down on the counter. Then I texted Olivia. I'm ready for what's next. It started with an email. Subject line, meeting request, urgent. From Laura Mitchell to Olivia Hart. She'd never emailed Olivia directly before, not even when she needed approvals. There was protocol for that. Assistants, department heads, filters. But this one she sent straight to the top. And she marked it urgent. Olivia forwarded it to me that morning with a single line beneath it. Guess someone's panicking. I stared at the screen longer than I should have, watching Laura's desperation bleed through those 8 bold letters. She wasn't used to chasing. Wasn't used to being the one outside the room, knocking. She'd always assumed the power would stay in her hands, even when she dropped the grenade of open marriage on our relationship. But now, the blast had leveled everything, and she was the one standing in the ruins. Olivia agreed to see her. Of course she did, because Olivia didn't fear confrontation. She invited it. She scheduled the meeting for 11 a.m., late enough to ensure the office was awake, busy, populated. She didn't hide it in a quiet corner or a private conference room. No, she chose the glass-walled executive suite overlooking the entire floor. Everyone would see. And when the time came, she asked me to be there. I didn't hesitate. Laura arrived wearing her best armor, navy blazer, tight ponytail, heels that clicked like threats. She walked into Olivia's office like she was storming enemy territory, eyes flicking briefly to mine before she settled into the chair across from Olivia's desk. She didn't sit back. She didn't smile. She started with fire. "I want to talk about boundaries." Olivia leaned back, utterly calm. "Is that so? I know about you and Jake," Laura said quickly. "Everyone does. It's humiliating. It's completely unprofessional." Olivia tilted her head. "Is that your concern? Professionalism? Or is it personal?" Laura's jaw clenched. "It's both. You're my boss, and you're involved with my husband." "Estranged husband," Olivia corrected. Laura turned to me. "Jake, you're just going to sit there?" I met her gaze evenly. "You asked for this meeting, so talk." Her face flushed, not from embarrassment, from rage. "I wanted space," she said, voice tight. "I wanted honesty. I didn't ask for this." Olivia folded her hands on the desk. "Let's be clear. You wanted freedom without consequences. You wanted to explore your options, but keep Jake in your pocket in case the world didn't want you back." Laura stood up fast. "You don't know anything about me." "Oh, I know enough," Olivia said smoothly. "I know you mocked the man who loved you. I know you laughed at him when he was hurting. And now? Now that he's wanted, really wanted, you're unraveling because you've realized what you gave up." Laura turned to me again. "This isn't you. You're not this cold." "I'm not," I said. "But I am done being a doormat." She blinked. For a moment, I saw something crack. Then she reached for her final weapon. Tears. Her voice broke, shaking. "I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't think you'd leave." "You didn't think I could?" I corrected. Her eyes brimmed. "You're throwing away a decade." "No," I said calmly. "You did. When you decided I wasn't enough." Olivia stood now, circling to my side of the desk. "This meeting is over," she said to Laura. "You came here to assert control, but there's nothing left to control." Laura's voice dropped, venomous. "You're not better than me." Olivia gave her a look I'll never forget, the kind that didn't just slice, it exposed. "No, I'm just not scared to love something when it's right in front of me." Laura stormed out. Her heels echoed through the halls, loud and shaking. Heads turned. Eyes followed. And the whispers started the moment the elevator doors closed behind her. Olivia didn't speak right away. She stepped beside me and brushed her fingers against mine, soft but deliberate. "Still feel sorry for her?" she asked. "No," I said. "I feel sorry for who I used to be." That night, Olivia invited me to stay. Not just sleep over. Stay? No pretense. No games. Just two people finally done orbiting pain. We stood in her kitchen barefoot, half drunk on red wine and honesty, and when she kissed me this time, it wasn't a question. It was the answer. We undressed slowly, not out of hesitation, but out of reverence. Like we were discovering something new, not rushing into something old. Her body was warm beneath my hands, skin soft as silk and twice as addictive. When I sank into her, she moaned into my mouth, her legs wrapped around my waist, pulling me deeper, closer, home. It wasn't rough or punishing. It was complete. Every thrust a promise. Every breath a rebirth. She clung to me like she'd known my body in another life. And when we came together, it was like silence and sound collided, a beautiful collapse. Afterward, we lay tangled in sheets that smelled like sex and something sweeter, trust. Her fingers traced circles on my chest. "Still thinking about her?" she whispered. I smiled, eyes closed. Not even a flicker. Back at the house, Laura pretended not to wait up. She left a light on in the hallway. I didn't turn it off. I walked past it like a ghost and stepped into the guest room. The same one I'd used the night she first asked for an open marriage. Funny, back then, I felt banished. Now, I was the one leaving her behind. In the morning, she tried again. "Jake," she said at the table, eyes puffy, voice small. "Can we try therapy? I think I was scared. I made a mistake. I miss you." I sat across from her, sipping black coffee, and I let the silence hang until she realized the answer. "I'm not coming back," I said. "You lost me." Tears welled again. "You let someone else take you," she whispered. I stood, grabbed my keys, and looked at her one last time. "No, Laura," I said. "You gave me away." Then I left, and I didn't look back. The first whisper came from the accounting department. I heard it secondhand. A conversation cut short when someone noticed I was in the elevator. Nervous smiles. Averted eyes. By Monday, it wasn't whispers anymore. It was fact. Olivia Hart, CEO of Meridian Realty, was sleeping with Laura Mitchell's husband, and the office was on fire with it. You'd think it was the scandal of the year, that someone had murdered a board member in the parking lot. But no, just me, showing up to the building wearing confidence and last night's cologne, holding Olivia's hand as she greeted the front desk with a smile that said, "Yes, I know you're watching. And no, I don't care." The elevator ride up was oddly calm. "I thought you didn't date within the company," I teased. "I don't," she said. "You're not in the company. Laura is." "She's already half-fired in her head," Olivia said. This just gave her a reason to spiral faster. And spiral she did. By midweek, Laura was unraveling like a pulled thread in a dress she couldn't afford anymore. She was late to meetings, hostile in emails, snapping at interns who asked simple questions. Her performance reviews, once glowing, now had terms like erratic, distracted, and emotionally volatile. I tried to avoid her in the office. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't showing her off or making a spectacle of anything. But I also didn't hide. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was just a man who'd stopped playing the role of the obedient background character in her movie. And people noticed. "Jake, right?" one of the junior analysts said as we passed in the hall. I just wanted to say, "Good for you, man." I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" He gave me a knowing look. "For leveling up." I didn't respond. But inside, I smiled. The rumors spread fast. She left him, right? No, he left her. Olivia stole him. No one steals someone who's already gone. It was like watching a cultural shift in real time. Men at the office started standing straighter around me. Women looked longer, like they were seeing something new. The quiet guy, the safe guy, he was gone. And in his place was someone Olivia Hart chose to bring into her world. We were at her place again. Wine, soft music, her bare legs draped across my lap, when she finally asked the question I hadn't expected. "If I wanted you all to myself," she said softly, "would you let me?" I looked up from her ankles, where my fingers had been absent-mindedly tracing circles. "What do you mean?" She sat up slightly, adjusting the shirt she'd stolen from my closet. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were cautious, a rare flicker of vulnerability from a woman who never flinched. "I mean, no more in-between. No more ghosting between houses. I don't want to be someone you visit." "You want more." "I want you," she said, voice low. "But I won't share. I'm not Laura. I don't need pieces of a man. I want the whole damn thing, or nothing at all." I exhaled, heart pounding harder than when she first kissed me. "I haven't touched Laura in months," I said. "Haven't loved her in longer." "That's not what I asked," Olivia said. "I don't need a report. I need a decision." I looked at her, really looked. Her legs were still across my lap. Her hand was resting on my chest. Her perfume was wrapping around me like gravity. But it wasn't lust that kept me there. It was clarity. She was the first woman in years who didn't need me to shrink, didn't mock my ambition, didn't clip my wings just so she could feel taller. She wanted me to rise, and she was rising with me. "I don't want to share either," I said finally. Her fingers curled into my shirt. "Then what are we doing?" I said, brushing her hair behind her ear. "We're building something real." She leaned in and kissed me like she already knew the answer. The next day, Laura cornered me in the parking garage. I saw her reflection in my rearview mirror before she knocked on the window. She looked tired. Not just physically, spiritually. Like a woman who'd finally realized the house of cards had collapsed. I rolled down the window, but didn't get out. 5 minutes, she said. "Please." I stepped out. Not for her, for closure. She stood there in jeans and a faded sweater, the heels and lipstick gone. Just a woman trying to grasp something that no longer existed. I just wanted to say, her voice cracked, "I know I messed up. I know I treated you like shit. And I wish I could take it all back." I waited. "But what hurts most," she continued, "is that you look at her the way you used to look at me. And I know I'll never get that again." She reached for my hand, and I stepped back. "That's the difference between you and Olivia," I said. She never had to break me down to feel powerful. She just saw me, and that was enough. Laura's eyes filled. "You were the best thing I ever had," she whispered. "And you treated me like the worst," I replied. "That's not love. That's ownership." She nodded, defeated. I turned to leave. Her voice followed me. "Jake, are you happy?" I looked over my shoulder. "I'm becoming," I said. "And that's more than I ever was with you." Later that night, Olivia and I stood on her balcony. the city lights painting our skin in soft golds and silvers. She poured us each a glass of scotch and handed me mine. To clarity, she said. I clinked my glass against hers. To choosing. She smiled. You were always out of her league, Jake, she said, resting her head against my shoulder. She just didn't see it. I wrapped my arm around her waist. I think, I said, she finally does. The first time Olivia asked me to accompany her on a business trip, I thought she was joking. She was packing. One suitcase, matte black, wheels silent as sin. The same way she moved when she wanted something, smooth, deliberate, no room for noise. You're bringing me as your what? I asked, arms crossed from the doorway of her walk-in closet. She didn't even look up. My partner. Like, morally, sexually, emotionally? I teased. She smirked. All of the above. But mostly, I just want to see the look on their faces when I walk in with someone who makes me the accessory. I raised an eyebrow. You want to be the one on someone's arm for once? No, she said. I want to walk in and let them guess who's leading whom. We flew to Chicago for a 3-day conference. High stakes, high pressure, high visibility. Olivia was set to speak on 2 panels, meet with investors, and court a potential merger that could double the company's footprint. And she brought me. No title, no agenda, no apology. Just Jake, her man. She introduced me casually, not as a client, not as an assistant, and definitely not as a fling. This is Jake, she'd say, eyes bright. He keeps me sane. Some people smiled politely, others stared a beat too long. A few recognized me, Laura's husband. Former husband, that is, if not legally yet, then spiritually long since done. One exec asked me, point blank, so what is it you do exactly? I smiled. I make powerful women feel seen. He choked on his cocktail. Olivia laughed. And I swear, in that moment, I'd never felt more untouchable. The hotel suite was massive, 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, a minibar Olivia ignored and replaced with hand-picked bourbon she had flown in. We shared the master. No questions, no discussion. The first night, after a long dinner and 1,000 sideways glances from curious onlookers, she unzipped her dress with a tired sigh and let it puddle at her feet. She stood there, silhouetted in lingerie and city light, rubbing the back of her neck. You're beautiful when you're exhausted, I said. She glanced back, voice low. Don't seduce me. I walked over, placing my hands on her waist. Wasn't trying. And then I kissed her, soft, slow, grounding. Her body melted into mine, and for a moment, the powerhouse CO disappeared. Just a woman in my arms, vulnerable and needing. We didn't rush. We made love like it was the only safe place left in the world. And afterward, we lay there, sheets tangled, her head on my chest, fingers tracing my scars. You don't flinch anymore, she whispered. From what? From being wanted. Back at the office, the stories had shifted. What started as whispers had turned to speculation, and then, oddly, admiration. People talked about how Olivia seemed lighter lately, how she smiled more, laughed during meetings, how the fire that once burned through everything had settled into something warmer, more focused. Some credited me. Most didn't know what to make of it. But one person couldn't ignore it, Laura. I found her waiting outside the building one evening. She leaned against her car, arms folded, trying to look casual. But her eyes betrayed her, red-rimmed, tired, searching. I heard about Chicago, she said. I kept walking. Jake, wait. I stopped, turned. She walked up slowly. I get it. She's powerful, gorgeous. She wins. But do you really think she's going to love you the way I cut her off. You never loved me. Not really. You loved the way I made you feel. Safe. Adored. Unchallenged. Her lips parted, but I didn't give her time to speak. And when I stopped worshiping you, when I wanted something more, you pushed me aside, told me to find someone out of my league. She swallowed. I didn't mean that. Yes, you did, I said. And you were right. I found her, and she sees me in a way you never could. Laura stepped closer, lower now. But Jake, we had history. So does a cemetery. I left her standing there, shivering even though the night was warm. Olivia took me to her family estate the following weekend. A 2-hour drive out of the city, hidden behind ivy-covered walls and centuries-old trees. She wanted to show me where she came from, the ghost she'd tamed. I haven't brought anyone here in 10 years, she said as we pulled up the gravel drive. Why now? Because if you're going to have all of me, you need to know all of me. We walked the grounds, drank wine on the balcony, and talked about everything: childhood, fear, ambition, loss. She told me about her mother's early death, her father's indifference, and the cold boarding school nights that taught her to become steel. But sometimes, she said, curling into me as the sun set, I wish someone had taught me how to be held. I held her, all night, and she didn't flinch. Back in the city, Laura made one last play. She showed up at my door in the rain. No umbrella, no plan, just drenched hair and a trembling voice. I don't want to lose you, she said. You already did. She stepped forward, touched my chest. Then remind me what it felt like. I gently took her hand and removed it from my shirt. I don't need to remind you, Laura. I needed you to remember. You never did. She stood there, rain soaking through her coat, mascara running. And I shut the door. Later that night, Olivia called. I have to ask, she said. Are you still in love with her? I didn't hesitate. No, I'm in love with the man I'm becoming. And me? I think, I said, smiling. You're the reason I even started. She was quiet for a moment. Then her voice, softer than ever. Good, because I'm falling for you. And I don't share. It was a quiet Sunday morning when she said it. No war drums, no tension in the air, just 2 mugs of black coffee and the faint hum of jazz playing from the Bluetooth speaker. I won't be the other woman, Jake, Olivia said calmly. Even if your marriage is already dead. I looked up from the couch. Her tone wasn't angry. It was final. We were both in t-shirts and barely their sweatpants, her legs draped over mine, skin warm against skin. She always looked like control, even barefoot, even makeup-free. But now, something in her voice wasn't just control. It was certainty. Is this about Laura? I asked. This is about me, Olivia replied. And about you. And about what comes next. I stared into my cup. The coffee was already cold. I'm not in love with her. I know, she said. Then what's this really about? She sat up, folding her legs beneath her, posture straight. It's about lines, Jake. It's about choosing. You've been straddling 2 worlds, legally married, emotionally committed to me, still sleeping in a house that isn't a home, still ducking out of rooms when her name gets brought up. That house was mine before it was ours, I muttered. And yet, she said, you're still there. I didn't respond, because she wasn't wrong. That night, back at the house, I wandered the halls like a ghost again. Every room carried some piece of the life I'd tried to build, photos of birthdays and holidays, a throw blanket she'd bought on a random whim, dishes we'd picked out as newlyweds. It wasn't grief I felt. It was decay. I found Laura in the living room, curled on the couch with a wine glass and a half-hearted movie playing. She looked up. You're back early. I didn't sit. Didn't speak right away. She muted the TV. Jake? I need to talk to you. Her shoulders stiffened. She didn't say it, but she knew. I've been avoiding this, I admitted. Not because I didn't know how I felt, but because I didn't want to hurt you. Her eyes glossed over instantly. You're leaving. I've already left, I said gently. This is just the final door. She didn't scream, didn't beg. She just set the wine glass down and whispered. So she won. I shook my head. You keep treating this like a competition, like I was a trophy passed between hands. You were mine, she said, voice sharp. No, I replied. I was yours to love. You chose not to. You gave me away the second you mocked the idea that anyone else would want me. She stood up now, shaking slightly. So that's it. 10 years, and I get a speech in a suitcase? You got every chance, Laura, I said. You just thought I'd never walk. Her voice broke. I never thought she'd take you from me. I stepped toward the door, heart thudding. She didn't take me. Then I turned back, eyes steady. She saw me. I moved out that week. It wasn't dramatic. I'd been living out of a duffel bag for months anyway. I took what I needed, left behind what I didn't. Laura watched from the kitchen. Not a word. And as I walked out with the last of my things, I looked at her one final time. You could have had a partner, I said. Instead, you wanted a possession. She didn't reply. She just let me go. I pulled into Olivia's building late that night. She was waiting in the lobby, barefoot, wearing one of my t-shirts. Her arms wrapped around me the second I walked in, tight, breathless, relieved. You chose, she whispered. I did. She stepped back, looking up at me. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Then she kissed me. Not passionately, not frantically, but completely. Later, in bed, our bodies still slick with sweat and the soft aftermath of hours spent reclaiming each other, she turned to me, eyes open in the dark. I meant what I said. I nodded. I know. No open doors, she said. No half measures. No ghosts, I replied. She exhaled. Then I'm yours. And I'm yours. It wasn't a vow. It was a truth. The fallout came fast. Laura filed for divorce the next day. Her email was cold. Clinical. Jake, please have your lawyer respond by Friday. I'm not contesting anything. She didn't ask for money. Didn't drag it out. It was the quietest surrender I'd ever seen, and the most honest thing she'd given me in years. I signed the papers 2 weeks later, standing in a sterile office with a cheap pen and a shaky hand. Not because I doubted it, but because part of me knew this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of who I used to be. Back at Olivia's, she poured 2 glasses of scotch and held hers up in a quiet toast. To endings, she said. To beginnings, I replied. We clinked and drank. Then she pulled me to her and whispered, now we build something new. That night, I stood on her balcony alone for a while. The city hummed below. I thought about the man who once believed being safe was the same as being loved. The man who thought loyalty meant silence. The man who slept in the guest room while his wife laughed at the idea of anyone else wanting him. He was gone now, and in his place stood someone chosen. Not out of pity, not out of guilt, but because a woman looked at him and didn't see limitations. She saw fire and fanned it. Behind me, Olivia stepped onto the balcony, wrapping her arms around my waist, chin on my shoulder. You good? She asked. I nodded. I'm free. Finally. And then, in the dark, with the whole city listening, she whispered, I told you you were always out of her league. The day the divorce was finalized, it rained. Not the cinematic kind, no thunder, no dramatic sky. Just a steady drizzle that painted the streets gray and made the city feel slower. Numb. Olivia sent a car for me. Said she didn't want me taking the subway today. Said it was a day worth riding through like royalty, not walking through like a man still dragging chains. When I stepped into her penthouse that afternoon, she greeted me with a kiss that was neither celebratory nor mourning. Just solid. Like we'd been here for years. Done? She asked. I nodded. Signed, filed, finished. She handed me a glass of champagne. To freedom. I took it. Sipped. But something lingered. Something I hadn't expected. Not regret. Not pain. Just the echo of who I used to be. Later that evening, Olivia hosted a private dinner. Just a few close friends, her inner circle, people who mattered. She didn't say what it was for, but everyone knew. They looked at me differently now. Not like a shadow dragged in behind her heels, but like her match. Some even said it. You've changed, one of them said over cocktails. There's something dangerous about you now. I just smiled. Maybe they were right. It wasn't until the end of the night that the real curveball hit. Olivia and I stood on the balcony again, looking out over the city like we owned it. She leaned against the railing, glass in hand, hair down, feet bare. That version of her only I got to see. And then she said, I have a proposition. I turned, eyebrow raised. I'm listening. She didn't smile. She rarely did when it mattered most. I want you to come work with me. I blinked. In the company? No. With me. Side by side. A new project. A venture I've been sitting on for years. High-end real estate consulting. Discreet. Elite clients. I've got the capital. You've got the insight people underestimate. I stared at her. You're serious. Deadly. I laughed, more out of disbelief than anything. You're offering me a seat at the table? I'm offering you half the damn table. My chest tightened. And if I say no? She stepped closer. Then you stay exactly where you are. Still loved, still mine, still free. This isn't leverage. This is trust. It was too much. Too fast. And yet, exactly right. 2 days later, I accepted. We began drawing up plans, naming the company, sketching the bones of something new. I watched Olivia shift from lover to leader in real time. And this time, I wasn't chasing behind her. I was beside her. It felt dangerous. Uncharted. Real. Laura called once after the news went public, after the press release, after the first round of media buzz labeled me the man behind Olivia Hart's next empire. Her name blinked on my screen while Olivia slept beside me, hand on my chest like a promise. I didn't answer. Let it ring. Then blocked the number. Some stories don't need a sequel. Weeks passed. Then months. The company launched with a wave of intrigue. Investors lined up. Clients whispered. The world turned. And Olivia and I, we thrived. Not just in business. In everything. I learned how she liked her coffee. Black, one sugar, always in the same white mug. She learned I hated silence in the mornings, but loved it at night. I found out she slept with one leg out of the blanket. She discovered I read poetry before bed. We built a rhythm. Not perfect, but ours. One night, we hosted a formal event, black tie, candlelit, the kind of evening that reminded people exactly who ran this city. Laura showed up, uninvited, but not unwelcomed. She was there as someone's plus one, an investor's little sister, maybe, still clinging to the edges of a world that had moved on without her. She wore red, bold, desperate. I saw her across the room. She saw me, and for a brief second, our eyes locked. She didn't approach. Neither did I, because there was nothing left to say. Olivia found me on the balcony later, the wind teasing the loose strands of her updo, diamonds glinting at her throat. She wrapped her arms around me, same as always. You okay? She asked. Better than ever. She smirked. You saw her. I did. And I turned to her, brushed my fingers along her jaw. I used to want her to notice me, to want me, to regret it. And now I just hope she finds someone who sees her the way I see you. Olivia leaned in, whispered, You're a better man than I am. No, I murmured. I'm just not at war anymore. That night, in bed, Olivia curled into me, bare skin, soft breath, all of it real. She traced a line down my chest and said, Do you regret it? The marriage? She nodded. I thought for a second. No, because it gave me the contrast I needed to recognize what I deserve. She smiled against my skin. And what's that? Fire, I said. Not warmth. Not comfort. Fire. The kind that doesn't burn me, but builds me. She pressed her lips to my shoulder and whispered, Then let's burn everything behind us. We did. Together. And in the ashes of who I used to be, we built something dangerous, intoxicating, untouchable. Love, yes. But more than that, power. Not over others, but over ourselves.